So welcome everyone out there. My name is David Guilford. I'm the director of the Raw Endurance Tri Camp. We have the virtual triathlon training camp speaker series, and where we discuss various tri issues, and we bring some company reps together to discuss their product line, bring athletes together, just to see what's going on in the community, and to hear from various people, address issues, questions, etc. during this time. So we just want to do a quick rundown. Thank you for the partner support from Felt, Bicycles, Normatec. Suunto is here with us today. Infinite Nutrition, Manpower Bootcamp. They're going to be joining us in 2 weeks for the nutrition aspect of this. Sports Strata is going to be joining us when we discuss the mental preparedness and planning section, which would be nice to hear from. USAT joined us last week, as long as Earl Walton from Ironman. So it's nice to have them on board as well. Also next week, we're going to be discussing a proper bike fit with Acme Bicycle Company in Brooklyn. So I'm going to head over to the studio. We're going to get some nice video this week. Of course, we all know that a proper bike fit is super important. So we just want to give a shout out to Acme Bicycle Company. So tonight, without further ado, we're discussing technology and gear. I mean, there's just so much technology and gear in this sport. Swim gear, the wetsuit, the goggles, pull buoys, fins, you name it. Bike, obviously, bicycle, bike shoes, bike computer, power meter. There's so much. And then the run, you could talk about hydration and your watch. And then over to recovery, where you can discuss, recovery boots and all the gadgets that you have for recovery. Last week, we were very fortunate to have Josh Amberger dial into the call, and we spoke with him live, and we did cover his recovery process, which was really cool to hear about from him. And he discussed all the gadgets that everybody uses to see what works best for him during his training, during his racing. So it was cool to have him join us, and we have that video, which we're going to upload some parts of it for everyone to see who wasn't able to join us. So without further ado, we'll just introduce the panel. We have Danielle Gogarty here. She's the director of the RAD Fam, Ray and Danielle Fitness and Multisport, based out of Long Island, New York. We have Jake Deuhring here, the director of sports marketing for Felt Bicycles. We have Jeff Mutchie. He's a fire chief from Idaho. He's with Suunto. He's with the elite team. And then we also have Trista Francis, and she's the director of ITZ Multisport based out of Colorado. So welcome to you all. Thank you for joining us. And we're going to hand it right over to Jake, and he's going to talk about the Felt Bicycles lineup. Jake, it's all yours.
All right, guys. Happy to meet everybody. Happy to see everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I'm just going to share my screen real quick. So in a minute. All right. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can.
I'm going the wrong way. Hold on. Hold on, guys. Sorry about that. Let's go from the beginning. Okay, before I get into the presentation, I just wanted to give everybody a little background on the company. This company was really started in triathlon. The founder at the time, Jim Phelps, wanted a bicycle that wasn't out there. Nothing that he could find that really suited him, and he wanted to push the envelope on design. He had a welding background, so he started welding tubes together. One of the things that he did, or a couple of things that he did, was make aero down tubes and actually test himself in the wind tunnel before people were doing this. So the company was born on technology, and that's something that the company has never faltered on. We believe in making the best bikes in the world available to anyone, and everything that we do is accessible. So getting into the bikes, we have the bikes that I'm going to be talking about today are our AR, our FR, our VR, our Breed, our IA, and our B series bikes. So in the road category, the first one that I'll talk about is our FR series. And this is our lightest to weight bike. This bike is really built for your hardcore racer, someone that wants to do a lot of climbing, wants to do a lot of racing, wants to do a lot of crit racing, wants to do basically anything high performance. So this bike has been proven at the highest level. Again, highest stiffness to weight ratio. You can see the tube shapes are made to be very high performance. We have victories, like I mentioned, at the Pro Continental and Continental level. The bike has impeccable handling, sublime ride quality. Something that is unique to Felt is ride quality. From the first carbon bikes that we brought out, we always made size-specific tube shapes and size-specific layup schedules. So every single bike that we made is specific. So the 48 centimeter doesn't share any characteristics of the 61 centimeter. A lot of the companies like to share layup schedules. So your small bikes ride a little harsh and your big bikes ride a little noodly. That's not something that we've ever done. So we've been size-specific from the beginning. We also do graduated fork crowns on these bikes. So the smaller bikes have smaller bearings on the lower part of the fork, and the bigger bikes, we increase the bearing sizes. Having a stiff head tube is really critical in bicycles. You want a bike that, you know, handles good out of the saddle, handles good in tight descents, handles good when you stand up and really give it. So the F series is really built to take you where you want to go. It's a little twitchy for people that don't want a high performance race bike, but for your pure racer, it's the best. Some confidence on this bike, confidence and versatility. Disc brake, that's what all bicycle companies are using these days, and that's what we use on our series. We also have a rim brake version, but in today's age, we really like to think about using disc brakes. You hear me okay? Sorry. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. So
yeah,
the FR was built around a 28 mil tires. The industry keeps getting wider and wider on tires with rim shapes and profiles. So we wanted to make sure this bike had a nice wide tire. As you can see right here, it has nice clean cable management. This bike is internally routed for the brake hoses. And if you run Di2 or electronic group set from SRAM, everything's internal. If you run external cables like mechanical gearing, it is routed on the outside. We use a BB386 Evo bottom bracket to help with that tire clearance in the rear and to give you a nice stiff bottom bracket. Something that Felt does as well is we do reflective paint on the rear and side of our bike. So when you get flashed by a car, it really lights up when you're riding at, you know, dusk or dawn. We have something for everybody at Felt too. You know, if you want to spend $12,000 on the bike, we have that FRD level bike. Or if you're just getting into cycling and you want something to start out with, we have that, you know, $1,200 race bike. Now to talk about the VR series, which is our variable road bike. This bike is really built to go out and ride all day long, really tackle any terrain. It also has nice wide tires so you can ride on and off road. When I say variable road, we really mean 70% on the road, 30% off the road. So the seat tube and seat stays and top tube profiles are really created for compliance on this bike. Meaning that sloping top tube, more exposed seat posts, so you really get that flex in the seat post when you're riding long distances and over variable terrain. This bike is built around 3mm tires, so you have a nice tire clearance for going on and off road. And as I mentioned, more endurance geometry, that higher head tube to put you in a more comfortable position, that longer wheelbase to make you feel more confident. It's not going to handle as twitchy as the FR because it's built to be stable, confident, on and off road. Again, with this bike, you get the reflective graphics, so you still feel safe riding at all hours of the day. Another thing that we do on all of our bikes is we have reflective bar tape. So really, you know, when a light shines on you, it really glows. So in our VR line, we offer the same. We offer various models. In this series, we don't go to an FRD model because it's not a high performance race bike. This is made to go on and off road. So we start at the Altegra Di2 level, and we go down to 105 level in aluminum bike. With gravel growing like crazy, Felt wanted to make sure that we had bikes for this category. Our mission in this category was to make it very accessible for people. We know that a lot of people don't have the money to have a really expensive road bike and a gravel bike, so we focused on making an aluminum bike with a carbon fork. So incredibly durable, aggressive geometry, so you feel good on those hard-packed gravel roads, and it doesn't handle like, you know, a mountain bike. It's still going to feel like a road bike. On this bike, we opted to use a T47 bottom bracket. You're going to be riding the bike in all weather conditions, so having a threaded bottom bracket is key. This bike comes with a 650B wheel set. We did because we believe that most people are buying this bike already have a road bike with a 700C wheel set, so this gives them an extra wheel set option. On the 650B, you can run 2.1 tires on this bike, or if you want to do the 700C, it goes up to 45 millimeters. So lots of clearance for this bike. This bike also has the option to have 3 water bottles mounted in the front triangle, and 1 water bottle mounted on top, or a lunchbox on top. So there's water bottle bosses on the top of the frame to allow you to do that. This bike also allows you to run fenders, front and rear, and has the bosses to do that. In this series, we offer 2. We offer a SRAM 1x version and then a GRX version by Shimano. The AR, this is a bicycle for us this year that has gotten incredible coverage so far. Being that Felt is a aero company, aero nut really, we really develop bicycles not only to be fast in the wind tunnel, even though we spend a lot of time in CFD and in the wind tunnel, but Felt's speciality is really making a bike fast in real world conditions. If your bike's only fast in the wind tunnel, it's not going to be that great. So that's kind of something that really speaks to us, and during the developmental process, it's key. Impeccable ride quality, something that's different on this year's AR. This is our 3rd generation AR for people that haven't been following Felt for a while. So we've been able to learn a lot from this, and if any of you have ridden a aero road bike, they're not normally that comfortable. So one of the things that we wanted to develop was, how do we make an aero road bike comfortable? So we developed a co-molded insert here in the seat tube and a split seat post, which really allows the seat post to flex. So from our old AR, this new seat post design is 119% more compliant. So you really get a nice ride quality. The bike almost rides like a round tube bike, which, you know, at the end of a race or end of a long day, the fresher you feel, the better you're going to finish. So that was a main thing for us. We also, again, tires getting wider. We wanted to make sure this bike took wide tires. The old AR took a 25C tire. The new bike takes a 30 millimeter tire. If you're building it strictly for aero, we recommend a narrower tire, but if you want a more comfortable ride, it takes 30C. We also realized that people are going to travel with this bike, and some people are going to use this bike for triathlon. So making it easy to travel was also something that we wanted to do on this bike. So basically what you're seeing here is you can remove the stem and the handlebar straight up, and this gives you enough cabling to mount it to the side of your top tube. So it really travels easily. Also, this gives you the ability to change out a stem length easy. Most bikes that are fully integrated are a nightmare to work on and travel on, and if you ever have to change anything on them, you have to always rebleed cables. On the Felt, you don't have to do that. Another thing great about the AR, it allows you to use the handlebar that you want. A lot of companies have proprietary handlebars for their aero bikes. For us, if you're not comfortable on the bike, you're not going to be fast on the bike. So you have the ability to use any 31/8 handlebar on your bike. Another thing great about all Felt bikes is they're compatible with all power meters. You can use your stages, your Cork, your SRM without any problems. On this model, we really focus on three. We offer the, the high end or the super high end at the AR-FRD level. We offer an AR with Di2 Ultegra, and then we have a mechanical version AR, which not a lot of companies have as well. So really allows you to build a bike within the price range. Lastly, I wanted to talk about the tri-bikes. So the IA series has been around for over 6 years now, and 7 years now, and has won 6 Kona World Championships. 2 years ago, we developed disc brakes on this bike, so the fork changed as well as the rear triangle on the platform that is won time and time again. If you saw Daniela Reef's performance a couple years ago, she broke the course record on this by over 18 minutes. So it's a tried and true bike. One thing again about the Felt IA and bikes is we make them fast for real world conditions. We know people are in windy conditions, especially in triathlon, so we want people to feel comfortable, stable, and confident on their bike. And this is one of the main things that sets Felt apart when you get on our bike. It handles amazingly. Even our little athlete in Miranda Caffrey, who's 5'2", when she jumped on the new IA with the disc, she said it was even more stable. And this is really attributes to the through axles of the bike and the confidence of the braking. One thing that I didn't touch on with the other bikes is the implement of Techstream Carbon. So you can see this checkerboard pattern on the bike. This is not just to make it look pretty. This really acts as a pretty hard barrier. It works as almost like a bulletproof barrier for rocks and things that are going to fly up and hit your bike. We also use this material all over our bike as well for stiffness and other characteristics we want our bike to use to make them perform properly. An upgrade on this bike is, sorry guys, is the BTS and the storage pack that we implemented a couple years ago. The rear storage doesn't add any aerodynamics to your bike, but it also doesn't take away anything from the bike. And you know that you need that extra tube, the extra patch kits, CO2s when you're racing. So throwing your stuff in there is not going to negatively impact your bike. We also added a larger storage component on our bike up here. If you've known Felt for a number of years, we had a flap cover in previous bikes, and that had a problem of flying off. This new system is 30% bigger and has a slit on the top to really allow you just to reach in, grab your gel, make sure that you have everything that you need during the course of the race. The IA series also accepts a 28C tire, so a great tire for training, so you make sure you're comfortable no matter where you're training. We know that all roads are not smooth all over the world, so that was a key aspect of this bike. If you're setting it up for racing, we advise for a 23 millimeter tire in the front and a 25 millimeter tire in the rear. That's your fastest option for race day. In the IA series, we offer the FRD level, which is your $15,000 bike, but we also offer a entry level IA at $3,200. And this is the best bang for your buck. You're getting a frame that is tried and true, proven at the highest level, Kona record frame. The only difference is you don't have a full integrated fork on that entry level IA. Lastly, I'll touch on our B and our DA series. This is our starting level triathlon bike. This is also a UCI legal bike. So very attainable at $2,200 for that customer that's just getting into triathlon that wants a very high performance bike, but doesn't have $10,000 to spend. One thing to note on this bike though is, being that it's UCI legal, you can't push the envelope in how wide you can make the tube shapes. So this bike over the course of a triathlon is 12 and a half minutes slower. And I will open up to any questions and comments. I hope I went fast enough for everyone.
No, that was perfect, Jake. Thank you so much. That was very informative. You went over the whole line there. Gave everyone a little taste, you know, like the entry-level tri-bike to the high-end IA. I wasn't aware, the DA is still available?
So the DA we only sell in a frame set only, but it is still available, and that frame has been unchanged and has won the last 2 Olympicses and is set to win the 3rd one under Chloe Dykert. So it should win 3 in a row.
All right, perfect. That's good to know that it's still available then. And it's also nice to see like the entry-level road bike, the high-end FR, which I'm a fan of. I have that, and it's a wonderful machine to ride, especially when you're climbing up over here.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is real nice. I wasn't aware it had that reflective material, nor was I aware about that checkering material for reinforcement, which is really nice. I think people might just think that checkering carbon material is just for looks, but you know, it's good reinforcement.
Yeah. So it really does serve a purpose. The only reason you don't see it on a lot of other companies is it's 10 times the price of a unidirectional carbon. So we really invest heavily into making sure that our carbon frames last long, and so we invest in the frame. So because we know that people are spending a lot of money on our bikes.
Perfect. No, that's good to hear. We have a question online from Robert. Robert asks, with the new AR split seat post, are you able to use it on older models or even tri-bikes, or would you just fit the AR felt series?
So that seat post is specifically designed for the new AR, so it's not interchangeable. You might see that system pop up on future bikes that we make because it's amazing.
Okay, good to know. No more questions online. Danielle, you have any questions, or Jeff, or Trista, or Jessica?
I do, actually. I do, Jake. Thanks for the presentation. Everything looks beautiful. A question that I'm asking on behalf of, you know, newer triathletes, how long does an athlete typically ride a bike for? Like, how many seasons can someone get out of their bike? Do you have a suggestion for that, or what you typically see?
Yeah. So, well, specifically for the IA, if you bought an IA 6 years ago, you could basically ride the same bike, other than the fact that we did change it over to disc, which is a big upgrade. Usually bikes are the life cycle of a bike is between 3 and 5 years, depending on what company that you're working with. Felt bikes usually last a little longer because we don't believe in bringing out a new bike until we can really make a bike significantly better than the one before. So if we don't see big improvements on aerodynamic numbers and performances numbers, we don't want to sell a new bike to a customer because we really want them to hold the high value of the bike. So for felt between 3 and 5 years, your bike is going to last.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good to know. Okay. Anyone else? If you don't have any other questions, nothing else on the feed. Jake, we just want to say thank you so much for that presentation.
Absolutely.
It was very informative. And it'll be available. Parts of this would be edited, and it would be available to those people who did join us if they want a little recap with a nice review of your product line, which doesn't include the gravel bike lineup, which I think a lot of people are, getting into these days, which is nice to see.
Oh, cool. Well, thanks, guys. Have a good one. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jake. All right. So from there, we're gonna hop over and switch to recovery. Jessica Miller is here, and Jessica is from Hyperice Normatec. She is the Director of Athlete Relations and Events. Jessica, we just want to say hi to you, and you're going to review the Pulse Recovery Boot System and the Hypervolt Pulsating Massager. Jessica, it's all yours.
Yeah. Awesome. So nice to meet you all. I'm Jessica. I don't have a very fancy presentation like the last one, but it was great. But I'll start with a little video because I think most people probably know Normatec a little bit better than Hyperice. So it's a 30-second video we just ran it, our first major commercial ever, and it aired during the Tiger Woods, Tom Brady golf thing. So it was a very big move for us as a company. So excited. So I will share my screen. I want, I guess, just that. Share. Okay. Okay.
Cool.
Stop sharing.
Yeah. Nice.
Did it work? I'm not very good at this.
Yep, it was good.
Great.
Thank you.
So we're really excited that happened, but I'll take a step back. Hi, I'm Jessica. I have been with Normatec for 4 years, a little bit more than 4 years. Trista, I think you're with Suunto. We've worked with them with Normatec and now are going to with Hyperice. Very ingrained in the triathlon kind of endurance world. And the foundation for Normatec was actually completely in the medical world, which a lot of people don't know. It was in medical for 10 years prior to sport, and our late founder was working with patients. She was an MD, PhD, working with patients with breast cancer or diabetes, lymphedema, you know, basically patients with circulatory disorders, issues draining fluid. And so she developed our patented pulsing action on the Normatec system that mimics our body's natural physiology. So it was a little bit more efficient than sequential compression, which is what really any other compression pump is, or what's in the hospitals and things like that. So she developed this technology and patented the gradient hold on it and just things to kind of make the circulation process and mobilizing fluid more efficient. And then her son decided, you know, I really see an application in sport here. He was rowing at the University of Pittsburgh and had an athletic trainer buddy at the University of Florida. And the first actual athlete to really find value in it was Tim Tebow. Not the first, but we really had a good story with Tim Tebow before the national championship, sprained ankle, living in Normatec, and saw that it really kind of sped up his recovery. But we didn't want just a product for rehab, so we kind of started, you know, looking in the different sport world and seeing what benefits and value there was to Normatec, and really found that it was working and that we were reducing lactic acid, we were flushing out metabolic waste, and that athletes, like more than anything else, were just feeling better. And so as we continued to kind of get into the endurance space, people were saying, okay, we know that you need good nutrition, we know that you need good equipment, you need a good bike, you need good clothes, like you need a good watch if you want to, you know, really get competitive, and then you need good coaching, you need, you know, hydration, all of those things. What is the next thing? And we wanted everybody to really start taking recovery seriously. So we're proud of that story. We've worked with a lot of professional athletes to improve our products. You know, it came from the medical world, but we had to work with a lot of people to, you know, see what would make it beneficial for them. LeBron James's PT, or his personal athletic trainer, has been with us from the beginning, kind of doing product testing for us. You know, LeBron needs it to have a battery so he can, and have it be small so he can take it on the airplane. You know, just lots of different things to hone the product from where it is now. And if no one has seen it, the first one, and we call it Big Bertha, it was this makeup, Samsonite makeup case that they would buy, you know, whatever the leftover colors were, rip out the guts and build the inside of it. And it probably weighed 15 pounds. And now this is our newest one. So it's 3.5 pounds. It's tiny, does the same thing, more power, battery. So we've come a really long way. And then, you know, it was a little bittersweet when we were acquired by Hyperice, because you're so passionate about one thing, but we're really proud to have gotten to a place where we could be acquired and we could be purchased. And now it's way more fun because we have a lot more products to talk about and products for different needs. And so Hyperice actually started in a very similar way to Normatec. A lot of product testing by Kobe and LeBron, our founder, was ingrained in the basketball world and saw a need for actually an ice compression technology that, the athletes didn't have. They were complaining about having to wrap ice packs on them or ice baths and things like that. So he got really innovative. And he hired a serious engineer who actually his family was just kind of part of the NASA launch. So that's pretty cool. So it's all kind of like aero engineered stuff that he brought to the table. And so this is the Hypervolt Plus, actually. So these are the two main products now that Hyperice and Normatec are one, and they're truly complementary of each other. But now that we've come together, it's just, we have this goal of helping the world move better. That's our slogan, move better. And we just want everybody to be in a place where they're comfortable to do whatever kind of athletic participation or sport that they want. We don't, it's not just for the elites and it's not just for the weekend warriors, and it's for the amateurs all the way to the retired pros. And we want to really be able to help everyone move better, whatever that means for them. And so to do that, we have 5 pillars of what we believe recovery is. And that is ice, heat, vibration, percussion, and compression. And so there's probably a need for every single one of those things at some point. And I could go into all of it, but for the sake of this, we're going to focus on percussion and vibration, percussion and compression. So percussion is this. It really helps target, those sore areas, improve range of motion, reduce soreness and stiffness, and really kind of break up that or provide that myofascial release in those hard to reach areas. It's really good for targeting. People love it. And it's a perfect marriage with Normatec, which is kind of a full body massage. Both are going to provide very similar benefits to a massage. So right now, with resources so limited and spas closed or PTs closed or cryotherapy closed, people are needing this kind of at-home recovery. And so this is, well, it's not the same thing as a massage. It provides a lot of the same benefits from the comfort and safety of your own home. So people, I think we're seeing an influx in interest, but we've been around, and especially in triathlon, the releasing of the lymphatic, clearing of the lymphatic system and flushing out that lactic acid is really valuable. And so what the compression does is from distal to proximal, from your foot towards the top of your leg, it really just uses the pressure to flush all of the blood and oxygen towards your cardiovascular system and kind of clean you out, providing that, decrease in inflammation, reducing of swelling, soreness, stiffness, and kind of just providing a full body rejuvenation while allowing you to get back out there faster. We call it preventative because most people are likely to get injured when they're, working out and training on sore ligaments. So it does help people recover faster. And those are the two main products that we have. We've seen that they kind of are a perfect marriage. People, now that we've been acquired, now that we've been merged, we're working to kind of see what works for people when it comes with the Hypervolt and the Normatec. People are using the Hypervolt before working out as well to kind of get a speeding up of the warm-up process. It's like and Normatec too, high-tech warm-up massage kind of, but we're seeing that people are using the Hypervolt first to kind of freshen them up to use the Normatec, and we're seeing that they're finding it to be more enjoyable by, kind of targeting, using the percussion on their legs first, opening the valves a little bit wider, allowing the blood to kind of flow through faster and more efficiently. So we're seeing that it's working really well, and it's been really fun to kind of start testing things out. I mean, it's all new for us. We literally just merged about 6 weeks ago, and we've been completely remote for all of that. So we're learning. East Coast group and a West Coast group provides for some really awesome, engagements and increasing the hours, but also we're really learning about how to become one, and it's been really awesome. So I think that it's also really beneficial because in my world, I'm super involved in the endurance space, and Hyperice has not traditionally been, and vice versa. They've been very much in the fitness space, the boutique workout space, and we have not been. Our price point, that was just not something that we were never of interest to that group. So now we're kind of drawing each other into the different channels and audiences that we're in, and it's really interesting. I mean, I've worked with David for a while on the Normatec side, and now we'll be able to go talk about a whole new range of recovery products that we have available to them. And also, you know, heat and ice as well for people who are trying to rehab any injuries. And it's just now we have like kind of your arsenal of recovery. So I think that's like the main points, but I'm sure there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of science involved here. So if anyone has any questions, I am ready to take them.
Great, Jessica. Thank you so much. That was very informative. It's nice to see and I guess learn that, you know, both devices can be used before your workout. It's not necessarily post-workout.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
with Normatec especially, we didn't set out to do that. We thought it was mainly for post and for recovery,
Sure.
and people were seeing a lot of value in using it. Long distance runners especially will have said pretty frequently that if they use it for like 10 minutes on a lower pressure level before they work out, they feel when they start that they're about 10 minutes in. So
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's rather than like, you know, a 20 or 30 minute warm up on the bike, you know, and I can go 10 or 20 possibly. So someone does have a question. They said, is there a time frame for the most efficiency out of the recovery boots, and how long after your workout should you apply the boots and begin that process?
Very good question. Very frequent question. I was expecting it. We recommend using it as soon as you can after, knowing that that's not always a possibility. You will still see the benefits. I mean, if you work out after work and you don't use it before you go to bed, like that's okay. Obviously the sooner the better, but it's still going to be effective. And we recommend, if it's your most vigorous workouts, 25 to 45 minutes is really that sweet spot. You will feel a benefit after 10 minutes, but we recommend, 25 to really be a starting point. And there's no harm or risk in using it too long. A lot of people ask that. There's no probably added athletic performance benefit if you use it more than 90 minutes. But on the medical side, patients with diabetes and acute DVT and lymphedema, their doctors actually prescribe them to sleep in it. So it's not harmful, but there's no point in doing that if you're doing it for an athletic return, venous return.
Okay, so just one more question here. Someone asks, is it okay to do multiple sessions in a day? Can you, I guess, double up on sessions?
You can double up, no risk. The benefits and risks are both very similar to that of a massage. So if you have any indication why you wouldn't get a massage, then I would always check with your doctor before using it, or using it super frequently. But we've never had a problem. There's never been anyone who's been injured by it. However, if anybody has any serious medical issues, I would suggest checking. But no, you can use it multiple times a day.
Okay. No other questions here. Anyone else? Jeff or Trista, do you guys have any questions, or Danielle? So Jeff and Trista, you guys and the Suunto team does work with Normatec, so I guess it's nice that you guys got to hear this presentation and speak with Jessica. Do you guys also use the Hypervolt personally?
Yeah, I use the Hypervolt Plus. It's been great, especially because I have some trouble spots that that seem to always linger, and so it's nice to be able to give those areas the attention I need, even if it's between massages. If you're getting one once a month or twice a month or whatever, it really helps a lot. It makes a pretty significant difference.
Great. Okay. Jessica, thank you so much. I'm going to have your contact information to give out to everybody. If anybody has any questions, I'll give you all Jessica's email, and you could reach out to her sometime tomorrow. Good?
Thank you so much for including me in this and allowing me to be a part of it. It's been awesome.
Yeah, thank you for joining us tonight. Thanks for participating, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so now we're going to move over and speak with Jeff and Trista. We're going to discuss the Suunto Sport Watch lineup. They have many watches and dive watches and sport watches, but I guess here we will kind of narrow that down to maybe one or two multi-sport specific watches, and also discuss how we set up our screens on our watch, because they have the rotating screens, which screens are important that we want to see, and switching between that swim to T1, bike T2, just make sure we're doing things properly, and also how we are hooking up to third-party apps and to use the Suunto app as well. So Trista and Jeff, whoever wants to start it off, I'll hand it over to you folks.
Sure. Well, first of all, David, thanks for having us. I think we're a little different, Trista and I, because we're actually not employed by Suunto. And so we are actually part of the Suunto Elite team. So we're actually athletes. Trista's also an athlete as well as a coach, and I'll let her do her own introduction. And so we're here not to sell, but actually just to give information on the product, because we do use them daily.
Sure.
Just a little quick background. As you said, I am a firefighter. I've been a firefighter for 26 years. Worked on my way up through the rank of captain, and just currently got promoted for the chief of training. And so it's actually quite an honor to be here today with you guys. It's pretty cool. And so just to share some knowledge and also have kind of that brotherhood to go along with that. So yeah, I'm an endurance athlete. I do a lot of running, Ironman distance triathlons, and this year it's just trying to stay motivated to keep in shape. So because of the COVID and everything that's going on. So I'll let Trista introduce herself, and then we'll get moving.
Yeah, so I'm Trista Francis. I'm out of Colorado. This is Jeff and my second year on the Suunto Elite team. I am a coach. I've coached for 15 years. I coach cyclists, mountain bikers, triathletes. I have Olympic hopefuls, resident athletes at the Olympic Training Center. I personally have been racing since 2004, and I started in mountain bike racing and switched over to triathlon. I have 3 daughters that have all left the nest, so I'm figuring that out a little bit now with all my free time. Yeah.
So yeah, David, so I mean, we don't have a fancy presentation, and so we'll see how this works out.
Yeah.
So I think today we'll talk about basically 3 products that kind of fit the endurance world, really 2 that actually really fit more the triathlon world, and that is the Suunto 5 and the Suunto 9, and we'll just touch on the 7 too, which just came out. It's more of the smartwatch. So I have a couple different versions here. So I don't know if you guys can see this one or not. Does that show up?
Yes.
Okay. This is the Suunto 5, and here's the Suunto 9, and you can see the difference there. Okay. So the Suunto 9 Barrow is kind of the flagship watch. It's really the watch that does everything for their line. And so we'll kind of talk about the differences between the 5 and the 9. And then Trista, hop in at any time when you feel like I'm either missing something or you need to add something. And so I'll give you just a quick rundown, the difference between the 2. So the 5, it's a little smaller of a watch, and so it kind of fits a female profile a little better. The 9's a pretty big watch, and I know that some of the, I know Trista's got one, I've got one too, but I actually like the big watch.
I love my 9.
This is actually my mom's. And so she looked at mine and goes, there is no way I'm putting that thing on my wrist. And so we got her the 5. So
I think the biggest thing between the 9 and the 5 is that the 5 is more fitness based and the 9 is more performance based. Yeah. So if you're more of a fitness person, listen to what he's got to say about the 5. And if you're more of a performance based athlete, then listen to about the 9 features.
Yeah, so we'll just talk about the 5 real quick. And so some of the size of the 9 and the differences is the battery life. And so the 5 actually has it's a 20-hour and a 40-hour battery life. And so depending on if you're using the full GPS monitoring, you can get up to about 20 hours of battery life out of that watch, which is still pretty good. It will still last an Ironman. And so one of the other differences between this and the 9 is the watch face. And so the watch face on this one is actually a mineral face, whereas the 9 is a sapphire crystal. And so for me, and I'm pretty hard on things, as you know, I wear my watch to work. It will withstand pretty much anything. The only thing that scratches the 9 watch is essentially a diamond. And so you can bang it against the side of the pool. You can hit walls. It's essentially indestructible. And so that's one of the major differences. The 5 and the 9 essentially do very similar things. They'll do 24-hour, 24/7 tracking. They'll check your calories, your sleep, recovery, wrist-based heart rate, some of those things. So that's really the rundown of the 5. When you get to the 9, you get a few more options. So the 9, this one here is the 9 Barrow, which means it has a barometer. It's really for that person who really wants to go exploring. We have a lot of ultra runners on our team, and so they literally will run for days, and it will track their entire workouts, which is crazy to me, right? So anything you want to add on that, Trista?
Yeah, I don't know if you mentioned, but the 9 actually has a 120-hour battery life. And it's crazy because I can leave, go on vacation, not have to bring my charger. And the one thing that these watches do is they kind of start learning your patterns. So what will happen is if you typically do really big workouts on the weekends, what it will do is on like Thursday evening or Friday morning, it will give me a reminder and it will say, are you training soon? You have 21% battery left. And so it's awesome because you're never going to be out there in the middle of a workout and go, oh my gosh, you're getting the low battery going. And so that's a huge feature. I think another thing too is if you don't know the background of Suunto is a company in Finland. And they hand make their watches. Every single watch is handmade, and so I think it's very unique just because of the background of that. So there's 80 sport modes, and so I love to stand up paddleboard. It's an option. There are so many sports on there, but if you don't find what you like or what you're doing, you can create a custom mode, which is pretty awesome too.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, so I think we'll touch real quick. We want to touch on some heat maps and kind of the app real quick, and then we'll let Trista touch on the triathlon mode and switching into the different sport modes in the triathlon mode there. So one thing that we talked about, or we wanted to talk about, was the different screens in the watch and how do you change from what you want to see on your watch. And so one thing that Suunto has done is they have the Suunto app. Okay, so you can see it on my phone here. So if I go into it and I just click on my watch, and there's a thing here called Sport Mode Customization, and it'll pop up here just a second. It's updating my list. And so, and I don't know if you can see that or not, but it says create new sport mode. Okay, so I can go in here and I will just pick cycling. Create new sport mode. Let's see, cycling. Okay, so on here, then I actually have the ability to go through and view what I want to view on the watch. Okay, so I can have 4 screens, I can have 5 screens, I can have 3 screens. You can also do your breadcrumb tracking on the 9, which is pretty cool. And so that gives you the ability literally to customize anything you want to do. So in other brands like Garmin, I was a Garmin user. I'm not going to, so you would go in on the watch and change all your screens via the buttons on the watch. Where this is, you go on your phone, you customize it, it automatically downloads into your watch. And so that's a pretty cool feature. Another thing that I use is, go ahead.
One thing, I have the Ambient 3 vertical, and the only way that I could do that, I believe, is if I log online and go to the website online. Is that something that we could only do now with the new app and like the 5 and 7 and 9, which is very nice.
Yeah, I don't believe that the ambit is supported on the app. Jeff, do you? I don't
know, to be honest with you. We can sure find out for you, David. I can get back to you though.
No, that's fine, because I wasn't aware that you could do that, change all your screens on the phone, and that's really great, because whenever I want to change something up, I have to plug in, USB in my laptop. I mean, it's a couple of years old, so. But
so one of the other cool
I'm
things,
able to hook up, and it does download workouts onto here, so that's good.
Yeah. So one of the other things that I actually really like to do as well, and I did it today because I do it every now and again, but it was kind of fun, is if they have heat maps. So I don't know if you can see that. And so if you travel a lot, or you travel different areas, or you want to run a new route, you can click on your activity. So I have cycling. And so the red is a commonly used route in my area. And I can go through that, and I can physically make my route on my phone, and then I can download it into my watch. I made a run. I called it a demo run. Made about a 10-mile run. Download it in. I click on you go to your watch, you click on your navigation, click on your routes, and then you find the route that you named, start it, and literally it will keep you within 300 feet of your route. And so it's kind of fun. So if you travel a lot and you don't know where to go, that's a great way to find options for, cycling, running, swimming, or something like that. I've done, so yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. Just see what's popular, and then if you're in like a new area, say, all right, everyone is going to this park and they're all doing this route. That's the place to go. That's cool.
Yeah, and you can't get lost, so which is awesome. So, just do you want to touch on the triathlon mode?
Yeah, so that's the one feature, obviously, being a triathlete, that I love about this is the simplicity, because when you're racing, sometimes you're not thinking very clearly, and it's just very simple. So when you go into your open water screen, if you can see that, and then you just you start the watch. So I started the workout. There we go. Started it, and the clock's going, and I'm swimming, right? And then I come out of the water, and what I do is you take that upper button and you hold it and you listen for the beep. Okay, when it beeps, now it's counting transition time. Okay, so then what does, all of a sudden it pops up my next most used activity, which happens to be mountain biking right now, just because I can. So anyway, so mountain biking. So then when I'm ready to start again, then I hit start. And it says starting, and then it's going. So then when I'm done with that activity and I'm coming back into transition, then I hit wait for the beep, and then it will take me to trail running, just because I'm doing a lot of that right now. And then when I'm ready to head out, once again, you just hit the start. It says starting. It's going to start the time. And then you finish the workout or your race.
So those are two separate buttons, right? The top button and the middle button, or is it always that top button?
Okay. So when you're transitioning or stopping, you hit the top button.
Okay.
When you're starting the next workout, you just click the middle. So
okay,
so the top button you hold until you hear the beep, and once it beeps, then you let it go. And then you start the next activity when you're coming back out of transition. So this is kind of going in, and then this is coming back out. And then the cool thing is the Suunto app, so then it will automatically upload into the Suunto app, like Jeff was sharing with you. And like me as an athlete and as a coach, I want it to then propagate into Training Peaks, and I want it to go into Strava, and I want it to go into other apps, either for myself or my athletes. I need their data to come into Training Peaks, and you can link them up on the app in the phone. And once it goes into the Suunto app, within about, I don't know, usually within maybe 5 to 7 minutes, it appears in your Training Peaks account. And so I know as a coach, a lot of my athletes are in Suunto now, and it's just awesome. So that feature is really a big benefit. Do you want to talk about touch screens real fast, Jeff? And then we can, how there's the touch screen and the button pushes, and then we can maybe wrap up, see if there's any questions.
Yeah, so I mean, the beauty, the really it comes down to the 9 and the 7, and I didn't show the 7, but I'll show it real quick. So the 7 has an awesome screen on it. It actually goes to sleep on its own though. Just a second, sorry. So the 9 and the 7 both have touch screens, and so you can either use the buttons or the touch screen to scroll through your screens, and you can also disable that as well. But so let me see if I can. It's kind of tough to show via this here. So if I click on here and I go to my exercise, and let's see, we're going to pick one, and pool swimming. Okay, so that's what I did today. That's why it's there. And so I can actually scroll up and down to different exercises, so which works pretty well. If I want to, you can, we'll pick pool swimming. And so pool swimming, and then you can just scroll through your different options. So I can adjust by lengths. I can do all that stuff through actually scrolling instead of using the actual touch buttons. So it really comes down to what's convenient for you. I'll tell you one thing though, the touchscreen does not work underwater. And so just so you know, right? But the 7, actually, I must say the optics on the 7, it's a Gorilla Glass is what they call it. The optics underwater is amazing. It's as crystal clear as it is right here. And so you can also change the lighting as well on your 9. So, you know, if it's dim or whatever, you can actually set the setting to where it's backlit all the time, so you can actually see it. So yeah, I mean, that's one beauty of the 9 and the 7 is the touchscreen. Just kind of gives you the ability to scroll through. So yeah, anything else you want to add, Trista?
No, do we have any questions?
Just one question I have, and then I do see questions here. Is it possible to kind of lock the screen so that you don't accidentally, you know, touch the screen of the watch and it gets you off your main screen or stop your workout or do something? Is that possible?
Yeah. So when you're in a workout, you hit the bottom and hold the bottom button and hold it, and it will say lock. And then it's locked until you go back and hit that bottom button, and then it will unlock. There's nothing fancy like combination that you have to remember, thank goodness. So yeah.
So one question that we do have online from Bobby is, when using the watch, are they always on, or when you raise your wrist, similar to the Apple Watch? So like, are these watches, I guess, sensitive?
That's a great question. So with the 5 and the 9, they're always on. Now with the 7, because the 7 is truly a smartwatch, you will have to raise your wrist for it to turn on. But if you are exercising in one of your exercise modes, you can lock that on. However, just know that it's going to use a significant amount of battery life. And so with the 7, the battery life is about 12 hours. But if you're using it as a true sports watch, it's going to drain that battery pretty quick. But yeah, the 5 and the 9, the watch is on all the time.
Okay, good. Yeah, there's no other questions online there. I do think it's nice to have the heart rate right at the wrist, you know, as opposed to
the heart rate.
as opposed to the strap. Danielle, you want to comment on that?
I was going to ask about the heart rate, you know, compared to some of the others that have the heart rate strap, and how accurate do you think it is on the wrist and only on the wrist?
Well, so there's always going to be a high level of variability with the wrist heart rate. It doesn't matter what device you're using. And that's because honestly, there can be a lot of movement, and the fact of the matter is it's so far away from the heart. And so there's lots of information, you know, from here where a chest strap is, you know, out to the wrist that's going to do that. So always know there's going to be a wide range of variability with any wrist heart rate. However, And I look at heart rate files all the time, right? The Suunto seems to have less variability. I think the key with using the wrist-based heart rate is just making sure that the watch is snug on your wrist and it's not loose. So just make sure, you know, it's good and snug, and that's going to give you the best reading for sure. But if you want the most accurate data, always use the chest strap.
Yeah, one other thing too is when you're wearing your wrist and you want the most accurate spot for your wrist-based heart rate, is you actually need to wear it fairly high. And so not down towards your hand, but up higher on, so I don't know if you can see where that is. And so it's a little uncomfortable a bit, maybe, but that's where it's actually the most accurate. So
that's good to know. If you do have an older model with the chest strap, can you also use that? And will it, you know, interfere with the wrist, or will it kind of default?
It picks up one. It usually, at least with the watch that I'm familiar with, because I haven't used the Ambit, but it will pick up it will pick up one and not. It will turn off the wrist base if it's pulled the chest heart strap.
Got it. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's just yeah.
It's going to be fighting back and forth, so it'll just.
Yeah, it's going to be like trying to go on the average. So yeah.
Okay, and then you could also, I guess, Bluetooth to a power meter if you do want to, you know, monitor for your bike on the wrist.
Yeah, great point. So yes, the Suunto is Bluetooth only though, so it's not ANT+. And so they just, so, you know, the cyclists need to know that if your power meter is an ANT+ power meter, you won't be able to read it on the Suunto watch. So.
Great, okay. Hey, Jessica, do you or Danielle have any questions?
That was it for me. I just wanted to know the accuracy of that, the wrist versus the chest strap.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
None for me about the actual product, but listening to this was very informative. I feel like there are probably more ways we can work together with integrating our products and the data. So that might be kind of cool. I'll reach out.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
cool.
we can actually monitor heart rate during like a recovery session to see, you know, if your heart rate is lowering and you are, you know, recovering. One thing
it does do sleep tracking. It does do sleep tracking. So
I'd like to try that with the sleep.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it's awesome.
Is there a sleep mode that you could wear it overnight and you'd be able to get your resting heart rate, like a true resting heart rate, and it'll get your lowest heart rate over that 7-hour span? If you just turn it on and like go to sleep with it, would you get your true resting heart rate?
Does it do that, Jeff? I know it tracks your hours.
You know what, David? I don't know. Actually, I've actually been very curious on that as well.
Maybe we could all try it tonight, get some homework, and see what
I'm actually going to try it tonight. I usually don't wear it, but I will definitely try it to see if it does get a true resting heart rate.
Yeah, because it should get your highest and your lowest pulse, right?
Yeah.
So that's something that we could try, and everyone at home could try it too.
Yeah.
Homework.
Cool.
Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, that was a great overview of the main multi-sport watches and how helpful the app is, especially when Jeff is on vacation and he wants to go train somewhere and he could, you know, look at a map and see where everyone is, you know, doing all the trail running and stuff. So everyone at home, just, you know, check out the Suunto website, see their lineup, download the app, you know, take a look at it, and you know, maybe incorporate it into your training and now your recovery as well.
Well, thank you for having us. And I think that Trista was going to send over a discount code if anyone was interested for your club.
Okay, yeah, that'll be helpful. Thank you so much. At the end of this, and I'll send all the participants a nice email with all of your contact information on it for your emails and everything. So if anyone has any questions, they can reach out to you. So just wanted to say thank you to you all, Jessica, Trista, Jeff, and Danielle. Wednesday night, so we do this every Monday and Wednesday from 8 to 9 o'clock. A couple minutes over tonight, but that's perfectly fine because we had a nice discussion. So every Monday and Wednesday, and this Wednesday, June 10th, we're going to be speaking to the ITU specialist and Olympian Ashley Gentle. Last week we had Josh Amberger on, and so this week we're going to, hand off the baton to Ashley. They're going to be joining us live from Australia, and Ashley's going to be discussing her transition setup and her transition tips. So that'll be exciting. One quick note, and Danielle and I were talking about it earlier. Ashley's transition is, maybe like 5 or 7 seconds compared to maybe my transition, which is like 5 or 6 minutes. So, but I think it's going to be great to have her on board, and she could review all of those tips that she has for us, so that we could be super fast the way she is. And also, don't forget, Wednesday, June 24th, we're going to have Miranda Coffray here. So that's going to be super exciting. She's going to review all of her training and how she's been adapting her training during the last few months with the extended, period of no racing, what she's doing, what her coaches are doing with her, how she's recovering, and how she's just adapting her training during this time so that she is race ready when the time comes and we are all racing again, which hopefully will be soon. So we're excited to have a conversation with Miranda in 2 weeks. So with that, I think we'll just wrap it up. And any last comments from you folks? If not, we could just wrap it up. All right. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Okay.
Have a great night. Thanks again.
Nice to meet you all.
You too, Jessica.
Bye.